This woman became a surrogate for the alien creature. A tentacle emerged from her navel, then it pierced into the man's body. In a short while, the woman's belly swelled up, a strange piece of flesh slid out of her lower body. Surprisingly, the woman successfully cloned a replica of the man. Welcome to watch the latest sci-fi horror film Replicator. In the courtroom of this bustling city, every court session was like a war without gunpowder. At this moment, the atmosphere on the scene was solemn and oppressive. A contest concerning justice and truth was about to kick off. The female protagonist, Anna, was a renowned defense lawyer in this city. With her excellent professional ability and persistent pursuit of justice, she had gained a great reputation in the legal field. However, this time, the case she took over was much more troublesome than she imagined. Recently, Anna had been wholeheartedly handling a lawsuit for a woman who was tortured by her husband's domestic violence. In the court's file bag, the shocking injury report was neatly placed, which recorded every wound on the victim's body in detail, and there were also those heartbreaking photos of the victim after being beaten. Each photo was silently accusing the violent act. Anna originally thought that these evidences were enough to make the abuser receive the due punishment, but the reality dealt her a heavy blow. There was no conclusive evidence to show that the abuser was the victim's husband. Under the rigorous framework of the law, without evidence, all accusations were in vain. In order to bring the truth to light, Anna had to subpoena Sheriff William to testify in court. She hoped that William could explain in person the fact that the defendant had personally admitted to hitting his wife during the police station interrogation. However, changes in the courtroom were always unexpected. Before William could speak, the defense lawyer stood up quickly like a wolf that had smelled its prey and sharply requested the judge to exclude the testimony of the police interrogation. It turned out that, according to the surveillance video in the interrogation room, Sheriff William didn't read the Miranda rights to the defendant. During the interrogation, in criminal proceedings, the Miranda rights are like an amulet for criminal suspects, which endow them with the right to remain silent and refuse to answer. And when the police interrogate criminals, they must strictly follow the procedure and read out these rights first. Only in this way can the content obtained from the interrogation have legal effect. The small mistake of Williams was like a huge stone thrown into a calm lake, which instantly reversed the case. Anna stood in the courtroom, with a heart full of unwillingness and helplessness. Outside the courtroom, the relationship between Anna and William was also rather complicated. Although William was an unqualified police officer at work, this mistake even got Anna into a difficult situation. In terms of emotions, he had a unique charm and was an excellent lover. The two had always maintained an ambiguous relationship, and this forbidden emotion spread wantonly in the private space of the office. Once, when they were immersed in passion in the office, they forgot to turn off the radio. This oversight made the female police officer on duty accidentally hear the sound. Afterwards, Anna quickly put on her clothes and instantly transformed back into that professional and cold-faced lawyer. William also picked up the wedding ring beside him and put it on. The two had the same idea, and neither of them took this extramarital affair seriously. When they walked out of the office pretending nothing had happened, the expression on the face of the female police officer on duty seemed to be silently mocking this absurd situation. In the evening, Anna dragged her tired body back to the apartment. As soon as she entered the door, she heard strange noises coming from upstairs. Out of the vigilance cultivated by her profession, Anna immediately took out the stun gun from her bag and walked upstairs carefully. Each step was taken extremely slowly, and her heart rate involuntarily accelerated. When she finally reached upstairs, the scene in front of her made her stunned. It turned out that her father, Ron, was having an affair with a woman he picked up on the street, and he even had the leisure to record a video. At that moment, Anna just felt disgusted. In fact, Anna brought Ron home to take care of him, because her father had recently been diagnosed with cancer. She originally wanted to show her filial piety in the last days of her father's life, and give him care and attention, but she didn't expect that her father would do such a thing. Anna was about to open her mouth to condemn this behavior, but was interrupted by the thick-skinned Ron. Ron said indifferently, "Aren't you also involved with a married sheriff? What right do you have to accuse me?" This sentence was like a sharp knife stabbing into Anna's heart. The father and daughter then had a fierce quarrel, and finally parted on bad terms. Anna really didn't want to stay in the same space with her father anymore, and she desperately needed someone to talk to. So she came to the Balaguri bar, where she and her good friend Monley often gathered. As soon as Monley saw Anna in such a downcast state, she keenly sensed that her lawsuit must not have gone well. However, Anna didn't mention the domestic violence case, but just frankly said that her father had moved in due to illness last week. After hearing this, Monley was confused. In her impression, Anna's father, Ron, was a jerk, and he had never fulfilled his responsibility as a father during Anna's growth. But people are often like this: the more they lack something, the more they desire to get it. Deep in Anna's heart, she has always been longing for a warm home. Even though her father had been so bad, she still wanted to accompany him in the last moments of his life. The drunk Ron staggered towards the street. His eyes were blurred and his steps were unsteady. He didn't notice at all that there was a man on the opposite building staring at him. Ron was still thinking about getting that woman from the street back, so he wandered around aimlessly in the dark alley. The alcohol was churning in his stomach. He couldn't hold it in and vomited. Ron leaned against the wall, trying to regain his composure, but he didn't expect that the seemingly ordinary wall was actually a secret door. The next morning, Anna woke up from her sleep. She rubbed her eyes and suddenly smelled the aroma of food. This familiar yet strange smell made her think she was dreaming. She walked to the kitchen with a puzzled look. The scene in front of her shocked her. It turned out that Ron was making breakfast. In Anna's memory, Ron was a lazybones. He rarely got up before 11 o'clock. This scene was as rare as encountering a ghost. What happened next was even more magical. For the first time, Ron took the initiative to apologize to his daughter for last night's quarrel. He also vowed that from now on, he would be a qualified father. Anna looked at her father with a look of doubt in her eyes. She just thought he was acting on a whim, and didn't take it to heart. She turned around and opened the computer to deal with work, but accidentally saw a photo of William and the domestic violence man. The two were all smiles. In the photo, the text next to it explained that the police station campaign had accepted the sponsorship from the other party. Anna immediately realized that she had been deceived. Anger welled up in her heart instantly. She immediately went to the police station to settle accounts with William. In the police station, William showed no intention of apologizing in the face of Anna's questioning. He explained calmly with an unperturbed look on his face. For an official like him who came from an ordinary background, of course, he had to find ways to raise funds before the election. In his opinion, accepting the sponsorship from the domestic violence man wasn't illegal. The two had a big quarrel about this. Anna was completely disappointed in William. The feelings in her heart also shattered at this moment. In the evening, Anna returned home with mixed feelings, and planned to have a talk with her father. She stood downstairs and called out a few times, but there was no response. A feeling of unease welled up in her heart. She quickly walked upstairs and headed towards the bathroom. The moment she opened the bathroom door, the scene in front of her terrified her. Ron was lying in a pool of blood, and had already lost his vital signs. The police soon arrived at the scene. They took photos and collected evidence in an orderly manner, and asked Anna if the deceased had shown any abnormal behavior, and who he had been in contact with recently. Anna tried her best to calm herself down, and told the police everything she knew. She only knew that her father's girlfriend was named Mary, and on the night they had the quarrel, her father had gone out to look for that woman after getting drunk. His behavior became very strange the next morning. He was cooking and being attentive. He was like a completely different person. William also came to the scene. He tried to hold Anna's hand to comfort her. Unexpectedly, Anna shook his hand off. She said in a cold tone that this was what he should do as a police officer. In the forensic doctor's autopsy room, a strange scene was unfolding. When the forensic doctor was dissecting Ron's body, he actually took out an unknown object from his abdomen. It looked like a showerhead. The black tube at the bottom extended deep into Ron's internal organs. The forensic doctor, who had been in the profession for many years, had never seen such a creature before. He was full of doubts in his heart, and quickly called William over to discuss it together. The forensic doctor slapped the showerhead, and then asked William to listen carefully, but William only heard a few barks of a dog. The forensic doctor turned on the tape recorder. He would verbally record the whole process, every time he conducted an autopsy, and the tape recorder was more sensitive than human ears. It could capture subtle sound waves. When the forensic doctor slapped the showerhead, the tape recorder recorded the scream of this strange thing, so the forensic doctor thought that the deceased had undergone some kind of mutation. As night fell, the forensic doctor's laboratory was brightly lit. He studied this showerhead monster all night long. There was a hint of excitement and tension in his focused expression. During the break from work, he didn't forget to heat up the food in the microwave, and have a midnight snack, as if all this strange stuff didn't affect his appetite in his eyes. After research, the forensic doctor gradually discovered that the showerhead creature had many similarities with a mantis. First of all, they most likely had extremely strong hearing ability, and could capture frequencies above 20,000 Hz. They could communicate with sound waves that humans couldn't hear, and could use ultrasonic waves to lure unsuspecting prey. This was exactly the same as a mantis. After Monley learned of Ron's death, she specially came to accompany Anna. The two sat together and kept drinking. Anna's emotions were released and she gradually calmed down, but Monley revealed a big piece of news. She had actually been in a relationship with Ron for a while. Her best friend had a relationship with her own biological father. Anna was stunned, but since the person was already dead, even if she was angry, there was nowhere to vent her anger. And Monley was just a little girl at that time. She must have been deceived by Ron. Anna wasn't sad anymore. The two got drunk and soon fell asleep on the sofa, but Anna woke up because of a headache. She tossed and turned but couldn't fall asleep. then quickly took out her phone, and played the white noise for sleep aid. However, Molly seemed to have heard some harsh sound, and woke up from her dream instantly. Then she quickly packed her things and left in a hurry. Her shoe prints were left on the snow-white carpet. At the same time, a new victim appeared. A man with short hair was attacked by the suddenly appearing showerhead monster while playing computer games in the middle of the night. The screen soon disappeared into the night, and there were two big men standing outside the window of the man with short hair. Early the next morning, Anna took out her father's phone and found a text message from Mary on it, so she decided to meet her father's girlfriend. Anna first conveyed the news of her father's death. Then she asked Mary if she had noticed anything unusual about Ron when she had last seen him, but Mary didn't notice anything unusual. Anna had no choice but to leave, and she received a message from William asking her to go to the mortuary. After arriving there, the forensic doctor explained that, after he took out the organs from the body yesterday, he found that he couldn't put them back in. The heart always moved to the right, and the lungs were all distorted. The most ridiculous thing was that the spleen had actually disappeared. William interrupted and asked him to get to the point. The latter took out a towel upon hearing this. This was brought back from the crime scene. The forensic doctor pointed out that this towel had originally fallen into a pool of blood, but it accidentally formed a very special resonance frequency pattern. Sound wave frequencies have their unique characteristics. In fact, certain frequencies can even move physical objects. Perhaps it was the sound waves emitted by that parasite that caused the organs in Ron's body to move. Anna listened for a long time, but still didn't understand what exactly was parasitizing her father. In the evening, Anna went to the bar to check on Monley's situation. The latter didn't explain her strange behavior last night. She just said that she was much better. Monley changed the subject and called out to the employee, Chuck. She asked him to help move the wine into the storage room. Monley called Chuck several times before he responded. Just then, Anna noticed that Monley's sneakers were very dirty. She asked her what she had done to make them so dirty. Monley casually said that she had probably gotten them dirty in the basement. A few hours later, Anna received a call from Mary. The other party said that she suddenly remembered something. That night, after Mary left Anna's apartment, Ron had called her several times, but Mary was angry about being driven away, and didn't answer any of them. Ron had to leave a few voice messages. Mary had already sent them to Anna's phone, and thought she needed to listen to them. In the messages, Ron was apologizing to Mary. If one listened carefully, one could also hear the sound of the vending machine in Monley's store. Anna looked thoughtfully at the boots her father had taken off. They were covered with stains similar to those on Monley's shoes. Anna immediately told the police this clue. After receiving the news, William went to the bar to investigate. He questioned Monley whether Ron had come to the bar the night before the incident. Monley refused to admit it. William immediately played that voice message. The prompt sound of the vending machine in it was very clear. He asked Monley to take him to check the basement to see what could make the shoes so dirty.
I don't want you down there.
Why? Are you hiding something?
No.
Monley looked at William. A cold smile suddenly curled up at the corner of her mouth. She no longer disguised her true features. She gently waved her hand and motioned for Chuck and another store clerk to come forward. These two burly men were of imposing stature and had fierce eyes. They were exactly the two men who had stood outside the door when the short-haired man was killed. William completely lost his former prestige at this moment. In the face of Chuck and the other store clerk approaching, he tried to resist, but for some reason, his vigorous skills and quick reactions that he usually had seemed to have vanished. Every struggle of his seemed so feeble. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free. Chuck and the store clerk easily held him down. William couldn't move at all under their restraint. Monley walked forward with an elegant but oppressive gait. There was a chilling light flickering in her eyes. She kicked William unconscious without mercy. William's body fell to the ground with a dull thud. When William woke up from his coma, he felt a biting chill hit him. He opened his eyes and was horrified to find himself naked all over, lying on a cold iron bed. His limbs were firmly bound and he couldn't move at all. He struggled desperately, but instead left red marks on his skin. Looking around in the dim light, he barely made out that this should be the basement of the bar. The walls were covered with mottled water stains, exuding a pungent mildew smell. There were also some old and tattered sundries piled up in the corner. The whole space was filled with a suffocating, oppressive atmosphere. At this moment, Monley slowly walked over. There was an indescribable charm and a hint of greed in her eyes. As she approached William, she began to take off her clothes. Looking at Monley's actions, William suddenly remembered the previous rumors about the showerhead monster. The showerhead monster had very similar habits to those of a mantis, and mantises have sexual cannibalism, which means that the female mantis will eat the male mantis during mating, to supplement the nutrients needed for laying eggs and hatching offspring. Thinking of this, a great fear welled up in William's heart. He finally understood Monley's purpose. It turned out that she wanted him to be her male mantis, to become a tool for her to supplement nutrients and reproduce offspring. Just when William was terrified, suddenly, a slender tentacle extended from Monley's navel, like a flexible little snake. it quickly drilled into William's body. Immediately after that, Monley emitted a strong sound wave. The sound was sharp and piercing, as if it could penetrate the eardrums and reach deep into the brain. The ground showed some strange patterns. Under the influence of this resonance frequency, those patterns were twisted and deformed, like some mysterious symbols, exuding an unsettling atmosphere. Monley leaned against the wall, holding her big belly. There was a look of pain and satisfaction on her face as she wailed. Her voice was filled with indescribable complex emotions. She gave birth to a piece of flesh lump at the same time. As soon as the piece of flesh lump landed on the ground, it began to develop rapidly. The surface was covered with a sticky meat membrane, and kept wriggling. Before long, a person who looked exactly like William emerged from it. His eyes were empty and he had no expression on his face, as if he was just a soulless shell. At the same time, Anna was carrying her father Ron's boots, rushed to the forensic doctor's place and wanted to conduct a test, hoping to find some clues about her father's strange death from it. When she walked into the forensic doctor's studio, the scene in front of her stunned her. The forensic doctor was lying on the ground, and had already lost his vital signs. What was even more strange was that the blood on his head formed a strange pattern. That pattern looked like some mysterious totem, exuding a chilling atmosphere. And in the mortuary, the bodies that were originally stored there were also nowhere to be found. The whole room was filled with a strange and terrifying atmosphere. In fact, the real Ron was suffering inhuman torture in the basement at this moment. After Anna ran out of the mortuary, she came to the back alley of the bar in a panic. She looked around for clues in the alley. Inadvertently, she found a small door. It was exactly the door that Ron had discovered before. She hesitated for a moment. Finally, she summoned up the courage to open it. Then she walked through a narrow and long corridor. The light in the corridor was dim. The lights on the wall were flickering, as if they would go out at any moment, making one's hair stand on end. When Anna entered the basement of the bar, the scene in front of her made her cover her mouth in horror. She saw that Monley was hurting Ron with tentacles. Ron was tied to a shelf. There was a look of pain on his face. Anna held back the fear in her heart, and didn't dare to make a sound. She was in a flurry and wanted to escape from the basement. But at the moment she turned around, she happened to bump into William. Anna didn't know that the William in front of her was an imposter. She rushed up to ask for help. However, as soon as she got close, she was caught by William. No matter how she struggled, she couldn't break free. Anna was taken back to the basement again. She looked at Monley desperately. She loudly questioned what the other party was exactly. Monley looked at Anna and a sneer appeared on her face. She said that she hadn't lied before. She had indeed been violated by Ron and had no one to talk to. Just when I wanted to end my life, Mother found me. As soon as the words fell, a huge monster suddenly oozed out from the wall. It waved its dense tentacles and kept swaying. Its huge body occupied most of the space in the basement, exuding a disgusting fishy smell, as if it was a devil that had crawled out from the depths of hell, making one shudder. Anna looked at everything in front of her, and her heart was filled with fear and despair.
Speaking to us, nurturing us, guiding us. She found me at my very lowest, and she turned me into something.
Monley pointed out that Mother could endow us with the power to change the world. It had the ability to transform evil into good. Monley was following its teachings and turning bad people into better ones. Otherwise, how could Ron have gotten up to make breakfast? And he also promised to be a good father. After William was reborn, he wouldn't trade justice for personal interests anymore. The power of Mother would make everything wonderful. So Monley wanted Anna to accept this kind of evolution as well. Anna seemed to be bewitched. She couldn't help but slowly approach the monster on the wall. When she was about to touch the disgusting thing, Anna suddenly regained her consciousness. She approached William, and pressed the walkie-talkie at his waist to turn it on. The sound waves had a strong impact on Monley and Mother. Anna kicked William away, and took the opportunity to escape in the chaos. She saw many infected humans in the basement, but there was no time to save them. Anna just wanted to leave here quickly. Unexpectedly, Monley quickly caught up and said, "I can't do it without your support. We can save the world together." Anna didn't believe her false words. She picked up a wine bottle and smashed it at Monley's feet, then tremblingly lit a lighter, and threw it into the wine spilled all over the ground. Monley was instantly engulfed by the flames. Anna had already escaped to the back street of the bar. At this moment, she covered her severely painful abdomen, suspecting that she had been infected. Just then, a car stopped beside her. A man walked up to Anna. The movie ends here. As a horror movie in the Cthulhu style, this film was released in the United States in 2024. It has attracted attention with its unique Cthulhu setting and terrifying atmosphere. The story of the film revolves around a young defender who goes to a mysterious town to investigate a crime. As the plot progresses, the evil supernatural power gradually comes to light. The strange beings that can replicate humans have brought endless fear to the town. In terms of genre, it skillfully combines elements of science fiction and horror. By making use of the characteristics of the unknown and chaos in Cthulhu mythology, it creates a strong sense of horror. For example, the scenes of the supernatural Cthulhu organization attached to the wall, and the settings such as the body rotting and wax flowing out, all are full of the weirdness and disgust of the Cthulhu style. The film has its own unique features in terms of audiovisual language. The background music deliberately adopts a retro style, which enhances the mysterious atmosphere, making the audience feel as if they are in that town shrouded in fear. Although some visual effects are slightly insufficient due to cost limitations, they have successfully presented some heavy-tasting scenes, such as tentacle monsters, corrosion, and broken arms, which have brought a strong sensory stimulation to the audience. Overall, this is a good movie. It has some highlights in creating the Cthulhu style and rendering the horror atmosphere, but there's still room for improvement in terms of the plot and character creation. For audiences who like Cthulhu culture and horror movies, it's worth watching. It can bring a unique viewing experience, but for audiences who pursue in-depth plots and well-rounded characters, it may not fully meet their expectations. Audiences who are interested can watch the original film Replicator. If you like my channel, please like and subscribe to my channel.